We have power. And my remote says, I'm telling him this thing lies all the time. Bump it, it's in gear. All right, guys, I'm a little anxious to get in here and see what kind of chaos we created for myself. That's what I was afraid of right there. That's what we pay attention to. Hello and welcome to Titan Customs. My name is Paul, and today we are going to be working on this 1966 Ford Bronco half cab. There was less than 7,000 of these made. In the last episode, we were able to get it running and put the kick back in this Bronco. So what I would like to ask you now is like, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to take you down from there, and we're going to see what it takes to get her to drive daily. All right, guys, the first thing we're going to do this morning, we're going to start it up. We're going to get in this thing. We're going to, now that we know the shift pattern, and we know that I freed the shifter enough that I can get it over and get it in reverse and low. We're going to try to rock it back and forth and pop, I believe it's this brake that's stuck free, because I really don't want to go in there with a torch or, pulling and bend things and break things. And, well, if we can do it with its own power and not do that and hopefully not break too much, that's possible even under its own power. Well, let's give it a try. This thing has not been started. Sorry about that. The nose itching. It's been driving me nuts and think it's an allergy thing. Anyway, so we'll just hook up a battery. I have not done anything to it this morning. So let's see if we can get this thing to fire up for the first time since we've got it running day after, See how grouchy it is? I just heard it sparking in there. We definitely do need to get key on, key off power so I can kill it, obviously from the inside, not try to run around from the outside and turn it off. All right, we're hooked up, we're hot wired, we have something that actually works. A little light. We actually do have a choke. Let me check for neutral. I'm not particularly wanting to, well, it ain't gonna run me over, that's true. There's no way it's running me over. It's stuck brake. I'm gonna stand over here anyway. That's pretty darn good. With no choke. We do have choke. Choke does work. I did hook it up. That's the top of it right there. All right, let me back you up a little bit and let's see if we can free it up without this flying into the fan. We're going to go low range, low gear. well. We're winning. We broke it free. We win. That'll save me some time of fighting with a brake drum over here. So now that we're running up against blocks, because that's very downhill. So let me pause you for a minute. We'll get set up and see what else we can get done here. Actually, before we pause you, let's run you around here and take a close look at what you haven't been able to see very close up, or you've been seeing from about there. Well, remember, the smoke that's coming off there is from me spraying it with BB blaster, because remember, the spark plugs are seized. The other thing is we have 7 volts right here. We need 12, so it's hot fire. It is running off the jerry can. We are definitely getting some smoke, but it is not rattling anymore. And we did blow back in the last episode through this hose, and it comes out in the rear tank. So we were able to get free movement through the rear tank, which will need to be cleaned out. Let me pause you for a minute, and I'll get you back in here in a minute. All right, guys, we're back. I spent probably 3 or 4 hours going over the wiring into this thing. And let's just say it's terrible. I did manage to get 12-volt key back to the ignition on. So we are going to hook that back up to the coil so that we can turn it on and off. We are about ready to try to do some sketchy stuff, and I'll show you that and explain a little more as we go. So we need to move this Bronco over here, this direction, because I'll show you. Right behind this thing is a severe downhill. I need to get it up off the ground after you heard all that popping and cracking and stuff from me freeing that wheel while we were playing with it in 4-wheel drive to get it to do just that, because I don't have a puller, so it would have been ugly. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, hook that up. We're going to get this thing started up. I'm going to move it up there and roll it back here without going down there, and I'll show you all the above here in a minute. So let's get this done. This distributor cap and everything needs to be out of my way. I know that sounds bizarre, but it is right in the way. I don't think that's going to get any better. Yep, it is. So also the fuel line is not going to be removed. I thought I was going to have to. We're not going to. We're going to do that. We're going to take the 5/16, quickly remove this. Hopefully we don't have to reconnect this thing just immediately after I put it on, because there is just so sketchy a wiring in here. I found bad connections. There are actually twist locks for a house all through that dashboard. It's like 3 generations of hackery. There is a AMC Jeep, one of those Jeeps. I'll figure out which one later. I actually know which one, I'm just not remembering it. So there is a Jeep steering column in here, and it was put in pretty well. They did a pretty good job of installing it. And then somebody else came along and did hackery on the electrical, probably chasing gremlins or who knows. But it's not right. So the cure to that is what I'm getting at. And I knew it, but I thought we need to make this thing be able to turn off and on. And that's what I'm after. So I talked to my brother, and he said, let's just do a wiring harness, which is what he'd suggested and what I wanted to do, because this is old, crispy, chewed on. Multiple people that didn't know what they were doing working on it. I could rewire it by hand. It would take way longer than putting like a painless. Wild Horse has several selections there. one of their top selections is a painless. I'll just go straight to painless, tell them what steering column I've got in it, what connectors I've got, and we'll go from there. There are a few things electrical that works. The windshield wipers. Things that never works on this. So we do have a couple of working things, and maybe this will work. We're going to find out really quick here. Okay, so that's hooked up. So that, theoretically, we've got ignition power again. No promises, but it tested over and over and over 12.5 volts there after I discovered the hackery they'd done and replaced part of it. That doesn't mean there's more, isn't more hackery down the road. There probably is. Too much to deal with. So, let me take you down from there, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and then we're going to start this thing up, and then I'm going to do it. So let me bring you in and give you a view. So what we're dealing with is we want it about there. And I know on camera that looks perfectly flat, and it's a whole lot flatter than where we're sitting. If you can see, if something happened, and it's in a hole right now, get back so you can see the angle. This thing's downhill, you can tell it. Not so much on camera as you can if I just simply walk this direction. But you can tell that drops really fast, and it's a lot steeper than it looks like in this camera. So we're going to pull it forward. I'm going to drive it right up there and then coast it back into there. That's our object. It's only semi-sketchy. We'll be fine, I hope. All right, now that you've seen what we are facing as far as the movement, it's sketchy, but it's not real sketchy. So let's hook up power. We don't need the hot wiring, I hope. And I hear a relay. What relay am I hearing? Yeah, there's a relay clicking right there. Not sure which one that is either. Doesn't matter at the moment either. All right, I have key on. Supposedly it's in neutral. I'm going to stand over here. We're going to get rid of that because I don't want anything breathing through that. Give it a couple of squirts. Does that seem to work well yesterday? Maybe. We have power. My remote says, I'm telling him this thing lies all the time. Bump it, it's in gear. Well, that could get real sketchy if it starts and takes off. Thinks it's in neutral now. And we have key on power. Helps to be able to see. I'm going to move you back up there so you can witness the whole entire thing. All right, let's give it a try. We're going to go four-wheel drive low. Then up and back, right? guess that's not nearly as sketchy. Now let's see if the key actually works. All right, that wasn't that sketchy at all. So as you could see, the brake was still hanging even on the hill that it was on. It was rolling, but kind of, and it's this one. So hopefully we can get this drum off without too much drama and see what kind of destruction all that popping and clanking as I broke it free actually did. We'll fix whatever it is, but so let's get this thing up off the ground and take a look at the damage here. Get the master cylinder and all the wheel cylinders changed and see what's going on inside there. As far as everything else on here seemed to have been like the carburetor was rebuilt. The ignition is recent. Maybe they did brakes, maybe they didn't, but we'll fix whatever it needs. So give me a minute. I'm going to get a jack out here. We're going to get this thing up off the ground and see exactly how much destruction we did to this right front wheel assembly, brake assembly. All right, guys, I'm a little anxious to get in here and see what kind of chaos we created for myself. All right, let's see if we can get this off and see what kind of, explosion happened in here. I hate the torque reducing device called an extension. Now, it does have a wild horse lift on it. I don't think it's very much, maybe a couple inches. I'm not sure, but it does say wild horse right there on the thing. And yeah, we jumped ahead of ourselves. It's interesting. It's got holes drilled in the exact same spacing all the way around it. So this is a, oh, this ain't gonna be fun. So we got to take the hub out, take the bearing assembly out to take the wheel off. There's no way we're getting away with that being, yeah, they're always press fit on four-wheel drives. 99.9% of the time. All right, let me get some Allen wrenches and I'll get right back to you. We got to do that. All right, guys, we have Allen wrenches. One other point, we just moved this in four-wheel drive low range. Not turning tire while in, not turning brake drum or hub assembly in four-wheel drive. Not that I'm saying it will now, but it will help. And no. Okay, so let's take the hub apart. All right, after a million years of running around, okay, maybe it wasn't that long, I did find, well, an Allen wrench that fits, kind of. That's not always a good sign. That's just probably from us flexing. You've probably seen that move back. Maybe not. You're a ways away from it. So the next thing is, what clip system is it using? Uh-oh. God. That ain't budging. That's not good. Get a closer grip and be and blaster it. This will do it wonders. I believe there's blasters sitting right here. Crusty Bronco. I really don't want to try to do anything like heat these because that's all plastic. Yeah, I know. 66, everything should be steel in my brain, but it isn't. This thing has a lot of plastic in it. Of course, that didn't turn, it just rounded it out. Actually felt like it was moving. This is not good, guys. So, I'm going to need to get a driver or a 3/8 attachment to take those out I have at the house. So let me get back to you. We're going to switch you around and change the master cylinder. All right, guys, not that I have confidence in the auto parts store. Look at that. We actually got the right one. Oh, the question is can we get that one off? Don't ask. I don't know. All right, this has already been, mosquito-wise, this has already keyed off me, been pliered to death, vice grip. There's no way I'm getting a tubing wrench on there, so we're going right to the vice grips. This has the sensor, and of course flies. What else is going to bug me today? It's a nice day. Okay, get off me. Hopefully this will cooperate. Otherwise we'll break out some heat. We might be breaking out some heat. Usually you can get them to turn. It's in a brass fitting. I don't want to break that off either. Okay, we do have movement, but we don't have movement on the line. So we all know what that means. Fire. And oil. What could go wrong? Yeah, that's twisting the line. We don't want to be flaring in. So let me get some heat. I'll be right back. All right, guys, we have fire. We have all kinds of grease and stuff that could catch on fire. Why not? All down the back of the firewall where this thing's been leaking brake fluid. We're trying to heat up the nut, not so much the line. Then we'll spray some brake free on top of that. Fire! I don't want to get too carried away there. They said, I want the line, the nut hot, not so much the line. Get that line hot, it'll twist that thing like taffy instantly. I'm sure that brass fitting's not appreciating that either. Come on, baby, get hot. My torch is real hot, it's red. Let's try that. Stand up. Come on, you little turkey. Still moving the line. He didn't want to flare you. We won. Do not grab with your fingers. That's always good. Now if we get lucky with the crusty bolts on the firewall, we'll really be good. What do you think the chances of that brake sending unit working is? Yeah, that's what I thought, none. We'll test it. Maybe. It'll plug a hole for now. That beats flaring the tip, or another line. You know what I'm saying. All right, that's free. I like that. Something's working. Kind of. Oh God, you gotta be kidding me. Okay. Ooh, I don't like the feel of that. That is that feel of, we're gonna have a very bad day. That's what that is. Time for some thump therapy. I'm really not in the mood to be drilling and boring and yeah, all that garbage. So let's get the big hammer and whack it and see if we can shock the threads. Once in a while this actually works. And again, not good for your extension. Not good for me. Not good to fall off the ladder I'm standing on either. Oh, that's hot. I know, you're going to have questions about this, but it works once in a while. About quite often for me, actually. Well, this time, because I said that. We'll go to heat with that, too. I'll have to check the other side and see if there isn't any plastic on the bottom side of it that's going to go poof. I mentioned I don't like rust. This is California. We don't have much rust. We have enough, though, depending on where you're at. We're 30 miles from the coast, so... Man, I don't like the feel of either one of those. Not even a little bit. Those are the feeling of just before it goes pop and breaks off, and of course it's right beside electrical. We're going to be taken out anyway, but we need it at the moment. That's going to twist off. Maybe not. All right, guys, I went and cleaned those things off. Took this little dude out. We're just using this for a plug because this is just too crusty to leave in there. It may or may not work, but it's ugly, so it's going to go. So we'll just not put that in first so it's in our way. That's what we'll do. We'll put this one in first so it's not in our way. Do I think it works? No. Don't want wires hanging all over the place? Nope. Just put them where they belong. All right, one step to the journey of new brakes. All right, guys, let me get you pause for a minute. We're going to get set up and go to the next task. All right, guys, we're back. It's the next day. I've got a slew of tools here, and the cure maybe to getting that off, well, we're getting it off in two different ways. One, we're going to try to get the Allens out with an actual Allen driver that will not strip out. Two, if that doesn't work, I'm going to drill the dang thing out. Hopefully we can just get them to unscrew. And then there's getting the brake drum off. And what I'm going to do is go in behind it and roll the adjuster back as far as I can to try to take some load off of it, bring those shoes in or release them if they're not in pieces in there already. And then of course we can, if they have to drill these, we can add fire later. And oh yeah, I don't know if it will work, well, we brought the claw. Biggest puller I have, jaw puller. And we've got in here, we'll get a close-up once I get in here, but I've got a special tool that goes in there, a socket that rotates the nut off on the inside, and hopefully I've got the right one. It's been sitting in my service truck for ever because it's been a long time since I've had to deal with something this small. I know that sounds crazy, but when you're dealing with 1 tons or you have 3/4 tons and stuff, you stick 1 ton axles in, this smaller stuff goes away in a hurry. Speaking of which, what is this? That's something smaller than a Dana 44, so I'll have to get in and look at that. That is tiny. Oh, there is one other thing. This thing threw me a curveball, and when I come in to show you this, I'll show you the brake hose, instead of going up to the frame rail like I'm used to, goes over to the axle, goes through a hard line like it would on a rear end, and then has a third hose that goes up. So I've got 3 out of 4 brake hoses. I forgot they did that. It's been a while. Even when I went to college in the 80s for automotive, these things were 20 plus years old-ish. And they were rare as heck, and Broncos people, they treasured them. So we didn't see many of them. We did. We worked on them. I've worked on a lot of them. Mainly because you can tell around here, we got mountains. But half cabs, not so much. So let's see exactly what size this is and go from there. It's exactly the size, bigger than that one. Now we did strip out the, uh-oh. What did they do? So it's metric? What the heck? Because I did find one yesterday that's unidentified. Oh my God. Is this a special size for this? What am I missing here? All right, after digging in my brother's tools for 30 or 40 minutes, I found an Allen wrench that fits it. So let's see if we can get these things off here, which this should be the easy part. You're right, they're all greased, right? Oh, well, it turns. Boy, it helps when you have the right one. Well, coming out with dirt and mud. Packed mud is what I'm trying to say. Boy, that's a little dry and crusty. Wow. Come here. Phillips screwdriver retaining. There's a spring under there to engage and push up and down against this right here as it rotates. Let me get a screwdriver. This should be what takes the nut out of there. If If I remember correctly. It's been a long time. They all have something similar to that, though. Greasy. Let's take a look. Well, this is using a different style. There's the clip. There's a clip here somewhere. There it is. All right, I need to grab a light. All right, let's take a look in there. There it is. I knew it was in there. It's a perimeter clip. It holds this ring in. It's all the way around the ridge of that thing there. Those suck. That's what they do. My inside snap ring pliers, I'll probably have better luck with a screwdriver, literally. Maybe. Because you gotta kind of pop them out, but you can't really use the pliers backwards to push them out because it just shoves it further into the, unless you can get one ended up. Nope, we're gonna use screwdriver, old school. Yeah, like that. Out. Do not lose it. There we go. Inner and outer snap ring off. Big spring out. There you are. Now we're getting somewhere. Now, the question of the morning is, did I remember or have the right, oh, I'm going to bring you in. Most people don't do this, but I kind of figure that working on a 66 hub might be helpful if one of you have something that you're working on. So you can see that nut has 4 ears on it. Ears, little slots in it. And hopefully our socket fits down over that and releases it. Then there'll be a plate, a locking plate behind it. And then another one of those that goes up against the bearing. Nasty, greasy, slimy, no moving. Yeah, froze solid. This is not going to be fun, guys. But here's the biggest problem. Does this fit? Yay. Okay, it fits. We need a 1/2-inch ratchet. 1 ratchet. Keep my knee out of your way. You would expect this outer one to be fairly tight. At least it should be snug, to say the least. That's what retains the inner one, along with a locking plate in the middle of it. Okay, fishing for the nut we go. that's the nut. And there should be a locking plate in there, but you will need this little hook to get, because they could be a pain in the you-know-what, especially if you're trying to get it out of there with a screwdriver. They are a pain in the you-know-what if you aren't trying to get them out of there with a screwdriver. Might take two. There she blows. So the way this works is there is a little step nub right there, little key that goes into the slot down there. And then this one, that nut pushes up against the nut before it, and it keeps it, what the heck? Okay, never mind. It looked like I look in there and I've seen, what am I seeing? Oh yeah, I'm just seeing the locking rings on the nut underneath of it that hook into these, all those holes. And this actually applies load to the bearing. And that's, whoever adjusted that did that about right. Do not crank these down like you're trying to tighten a freaking head bolt. You will have wheel bearing problems in miles. Very few miles. Most of you know that, but for the ones that don't do that. When I assemble it, we'll go over properly torquing it. People get, man, I have seen people on YouTube just grab onto that and wrench on it like they're tightening a lug nut. I'm like, oh God, that's going to be bad. You'll get your video out of it, but you'll be replacing that somewhere down the road real soon. Wow, that's a long threaded. Let's get rid of the wrench. I don't suppose you just want to just come right off there, do you? Yes, you do. So those are the little stubbies. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a stubby right there that ring locks into, and also a groove down on there it locks into. So it's just like a little nipple sticking up right there. You definitely don't want to put that in when you put it back together either. That'd be all bad. Okay, at this point, we would normally grab and remove. That's not happening. So we are going to try to back the adjuster off just to unload it. Might try a little tap tap now. Ow! Ew! Okay. Maybe the claw will help us? We're going to need some help. Or fire. Yeah, no, don't put it past me. I would drag the torches out and cut it off here. I have no problem with that. I'll make a nice little slice-a-rooney in a couple of places. This puppy will come right, or just around the ridge. Who knows? Take it in chunks. I'm kidding. Let's try to do it without destruction. And yep, this will definitely have enough throw to do it. It's not often I get to use the claw. I've had this thing since I was a little kid, literally. I think I got this thing when I was like 13. I remember correctly, got it at a yard sale. There's 3 of them. This was the biggest one. I have all 3 of them still, which is amazing because most of my tools just like to wander away. Have kids, that'll happen. This thing works pretty good as long as you're equal and you're engaged. And hopefully not going to pop off. And centered helps too. I said equal and engaged. Alrighty. See, I did try to prep for you. Never works out. I end up chasing tools no matter what. That's real life there. Oh yeah, somebody said you should do a YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, keep it real. By the way, I would do it only that way. I'm not going to give you clips of what I've done and go, okay, I'm done. 10 other people did it for me. It's moving already? I ain't buying it. You know, the crazy way to not put so much torque on it is use an impact. You can also just pop it off in a split second. Make sure your jowls are doing jowl things. Yes, this is not normal. Yeah, it is. There are parts falling out of it. Can't imagine how that happened. There's the wheel bearing. Yeah, the retaining clips just fell out. Wow, that bearing looks rather well. That's really in good shape. That's a surprise. Yeah, we just popped off. We're going to need a kit. That did exactly what I thought it would do. Actually, we can need a kit and we need brake shoes. These brake shoes are not put-onable. Actually, these need to be turned real bad too. That's not what I expected, honestly, guys. I did not expect that to be that bad. I mean, though we kept finding stuff that they'd just done, so I expected this was one of those things, but evidently brakes and bearings weren't one of them. Taking of bearings, that one's stuck on there. We'll be able to get that off. I can see its crustiness, if not, whatever. So I haven't had this opportunity. We've done in the past is just change the wheel cylinder. The pads have been in good shape. In this case, they are not. Wow, that's interesting too. What I'm talking about that's interesting, you usually have a shorter and a longer pad. The front one is slightly shorter, but not much. In this case, this one comes up to here and this one comes It's like 3/4 of an inch, but it is shorter and longer. So what I was babbling about is now that we actually have a brake system that we're going to rebuild, I'm going to show you something real quick. This is going to take a minute because I got to go order parts, but we're going to do this just like we're in the field. And remember, these days we have a camera so we can take a picture of the inside. This thing couldn't be any more simple, especially a front one, because it doesn't have the e-brake assembly in it. So this is going to be a really good one to do with what I'm about to show you. So give me a second. I'm going to go get my tool for the springs, which I like to use, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, let's do this. So what I was saying is, usually the way they taught us in school, instead of trying to guess, and this is actually something I did before school, I will take this out, I will take it off and sit it on the ground exactly like it goes back on. These days you have a camera, so you can do the same thing to make sure the spring's on the right side, even which side the spring went on, everything. So there's some things that people don't do, and I've seen YouTubers mentioned, whether it was a proper technique or not, to not get hooked by the thing. Let me get the spring off, then we'll talk. One spring down. That was right there, and then it went back. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Yeah, get on the right groove. Now come off. Not go back. That's it. The retaining clip is actually, retaining clip. So I'll put it down, usually off to the side, but we've got parts over here at the moment. And I'll just take the whole thing, right the way it is, set it on the ground, and then go in reverse order. But what I was going to show you is, or will show you, and I will show you again, we're going to get these little hold downs off there, because we absolutely, we broke the springs in half. So these are not going to be a lot of help. Or these are, because they seem to be, but they'll come with the kit. Anyway, what I was babbling about is there's pressure plate points here. There's one right there, one right there, one right there, and one right there. There's 3 on each side. Here, there, and there, there, and there, there. This is where you grease your brakes. So you take a thumb, just a little bit on your thumb after you've cleaned all this, which we're going to take wire wheel and brake clean and clean this. Then we'll put a smear of grease on each one of these 3 pressure points here. And then we'll assemble them. And I do mean a smear, because you don't want nothing greasy on your shoes. Also, Mr. Adjuster is post toasty. Spring right side. Spring left side. Adjuster left side. Spring doesn't matter, it's reversible. And you could pry it off and not have to fight with it. Oh, these are rusted on, that's why it's fighting with me. Usually you can do just that and it pops that puppy right out, which was what I was trying to do. And it literally came out without its end. Nasty. Yeah, and those shoes are, especially the forward shoe, it's paper thin. So we will get to that. And then of course, I couldn't get that thing to move in there. It would not let me do it, but it's free. That's good. So if these ever get stuck, it's a billion-year-old trick. Okay, maybe that's a little exaggeration. Go put it on top of your anvil, hold it by this end, and whack that puppy right there. Rotate it, whack it, rotate it, whack it. Use your pliers on it and it'll come free, and then you can clean everything up and you're good to go. So let me get some shoes Let's do one other thing because I think I have the PB blaster. I'm going to PB blaster the cylinder, and we're going to actually, is that cylinder sitting right there? I'm going to verify that the cylinder is the right one right now. Guys, where do you think the brake fluid went? Did you see that? If you didn't, it just ran out the end of the cylinder. All right, so we'll put those down there. And no, they're sitting in my back seat. So let me grab them because they're marked front and back, and we're going to check to see if I got the right one. All right, I got them. She even marked them front and back, or front for me. So when she was looking them up, she had two of them there and didn't have the other two, and I'm like, mark them. I want to know which one's which, although you'd be able to tell that real quick, but they should be a left and a right also, so maybe not, maybe. But you definitely want to be able to take them back if they aren't. We've had that issue a few times, like almost every time. Except this time I think we actually got the right ones, and to my complete surprise there are some great big old bolts on the back of that. So that is the right side front. Unless they put the line on the other side, the other one should be exactly the opposite for the line entry. And that is the left. So that's, yeah, that's the left front. We are good to go there. So this one goes here. We need shoes and a hardware kit. Put this up there. All right, guys, I'll get back to you. I need to go make a phone call. All right, guys, I'm back. I just called the auto parts. They don't have the hardware kit for that front. And they got two different options for the rear as far as brake shoes. So I thought I'd bring you back in to see if this thing's going to be stuck also in the rear. Hopefully not. Let's see. Dirty, no good. Those are the 2-inch wide ones. All right, we know what we need. And another set of drums turned. All right, guys, we're back. It's the next day. I've got some parts, and I'm going to flip you around and show you what we've done. What I've done after I left you with the right rear brake drum removal. So let me flip you around real quick and show you what we have. All right, we'll start with the condition of drums. We'll start with the front one. So that one we had turned. That is a new one that goes with this one. And this one is our next dilemma. Now, what you can see there is a lot of grease. That's axle grease, which means the left rear axle seal is bad. So we will be taking that. Let me just walk over there so you make sure you know where I'm at. We will be taking that axle out. Whenever I pick something up and I take a brake drum off and I need to go get new drums or something, I just put the tire back on. It's safer than jack stands, especially when you're talking about uneven grade. This one was just like the other one as far as disassembly went, so wasn't going to torture you with doing it twice. I had to use the puller to get it off. It would not come. It did pop the springs. We've got a spring kit, but we will be pulling that axle out. We will be putting a new drum on that one. We have brake shoes, we have lines, we have cylinders, and both these drums are the rear drums. This one and that one were not turnable. They're ordered. We may clean them up and use them until the other ones come in. They're not bad across here, but there's a huge lip here, which means I'm going to play hell getting it off with brand new shoes. I mean, I can run the adjuster all the way back, which I did, and I had to use a puller in the rear too, because they were just stuck to the dang thing. Although it moved, it wasn't doing it well. So this is axle seals, spring kit, because we broke the springs free, which I didn't expect to even have any springs. So let me get you set up. We're going to go back under there. I've got fire. I've got line wrenches. We're going to go in and we are going to replace that brake hose right there. The wheel cylinder, we're going to clean up the backing plate, put those things back on, and then install the brakes, which I will show you in detail. And then way over there, I don't know if I can show you from here, that brake hose, come on, focus. Let me go to the other side. It's not wanting to do that very well. So this front end has 3 brake hoses. Instead of having one come down from the frame on both sides, nope, they can't do that. They had to have one on the axle and then that brake hose coming down, which they don't list. So we're going to pray that thing works, and we're going to order one off Wild Horse. Notice that big old clump of mud around the union there. I wish this thing would actually focus once in a while. There you go. So this brake hose will also have to come off. The wheel cylinder will also come off. And it pulled on that thing so hard it delaminated the glued on brake shoe. Not a big deal. This thing needs all new everything. So, with that being said, let's get you on the tripod and let's get some work done. All right, guys, I've got you set up. We're going to take off the wheel cylinder. We're going to get that line off like I had just said. At least that's the plan. We may need fire for that. Who knows? Let's give it a try. I'm going to go for the easy end first, just because if it's going to be a good day with things, we might as well start where it's easy. Okay, maybe. Okay, that's a little crusty right from the gate. I brought a hammer. Looks like a hammer. All right. We're not going to play with trying to be delicate with the brake hose because, well, we don't need to be. Gives me any crud, we'll cut it off and put a socket on it. Because we're definitely not going back on with that. There is something interesting I just discovered. I got brake hoses for both sides, and yeah, there typically is a left and a right side. One's ½ an inch longer than the other. Why? Just make the hard line ½ an inch longer. Jeez, man. Uh-oh. Gosh darn it with the isms, I tell you. Okay, maybe we're going to be starting out with heat just to get the nut out of it. I have squirted this down with plaster a couple of times. I may have to cut that off and vice grip that, but we're going to put some heat to it because I need this little line to be not destroyed. Okay, back to the heat we go. Man, crusty old Bronco. So there's something that dawned on me earlier, and I know most of you I think anybody would get it. So I was thinking about how old this is in reference to what would this be like when I was a teenager? How would the car look? I know that's bizarre. So I was working on a Model A in automotive class when I was 14 years old, somewhere around there, 15 years old. And that made it about 50 years old, of mid-70s. This is 60 years old. Get the picture here? This was actually older in years than when I was working on a Model A that couldn't go over 35 miles an hour. This thing's in much better shape than the Model A was way back then. Granted, they made millions of them dang things, literally. But it was just a real eye-opener. I'm like, 60 years old? 50 years old. You go 20 years past that, and they were in horse and buggies, literally. Some of them were in horse and buggies when the Model A was out. Let's get back to work. My isms. Sorry about that. That is a very long nut also. And again, I don't care what happens to that hose. And there is something that can happen with this stuff because it has brake fluid in it. It's highly volatile and it can blow up. I've seen them go poof and fluid comes, so I try not to get over there where that happens with a rubber connection. We're basically trying to get that nut hot. We'll send some heat down into those threads. We've got the tip hot and the nut's starting to turn red. Of course, I should have the blaster here so I can smoke it a couple of times with that. All right, there's bin blaster on it. I don't know if you're catching that or you probably can't. There's brake fluid dripping out of this wheel cylinder, so it's creating pressure, just heating it up like that. Man, the one thing you don't want is hot fluid all over you. Okay, something's moving. I'm going to grab the blaster because I can't be twisting that off in there. Can I just reach across? Oh, of course not. I got to go around. It's crazy. You can see it just suck that in immediately. Just right into the hole. Right into around there. And it appears to actually be broke free and turning free from the line. That's a double win there. Now you see what I'm stepping in? And we're trying to separate those two without this line becoming irritable. And it's easier to do it out here. And boy, you can tell that was leaking. Look at that. Well, it's running out the end. So now we can just take this thing and unscrew it and then work on getting the line free. At least that's the theory. Did I get it that loose? Probably not. Yuck. Nasty. That was brilliant. Now, how uncooperative are you going to be about this? Oh, that was much easier. Sure, you didn't want to turn in there, but you're going to do it now, that's fine. We don't care when you do it, just that you do it. All righty. And we'll give it a little lube. Oh, it turns real good. All right, that's cured. Next. I wonder if I can just pop that off without going to get my large screwdriver with my wrench. channel lock? And the answer is absolutely. And I didn't even lose the clip. Now, you already know what this one's going to be. Something you can't see. Yeah, the hose is starting to get hot. Do not breathe the gas. That's what I was afraid of right there. That's what we pay attention to. That's what happens when you heat gas. That's why I was giving that thing space. Blew that thing right apart. I don't have any problem getting that part off now. Remember what I was saying. Brake fluid blows up. Be careful. Hot fluid on you is not good. Lets me get switched over the other side. You guys, I'm going to bring you in close real quick on this because I want to show you something on the other side that I just discovered. So that's the exact brake assembly, obviously with new parts, that we took apart. We know that because we took it off, we laid it right there on the ground in the order it came from. That is a left side old spring, that is a right side old spring, and then the broken springs from prying it off. Now let's go over the other side, and I'm going to show you something that they have over here. And I'm going to go look it up. I've just looked it up once, and it doesn't show it. But it is different. What do you see that's different there? In case you missed it, it's this. There's a spring going from side to side. That one does not happen. There's the English problem. Have. The thing that's interesting about this, and may point that it's incorrect, because the books show that it's incorrect, or at least what I can find, they're sharing the same spring hole. They don't do that. You don't put one spring in the same hole as another. That's just terrible. I don't know why or how. I am going to look it up again. I'm going to see if I can find it in something else. That's bizarre. And what I'm going to do with this one is just take my clips and my tool and pull these off and set this whole damn assembly down on the ground, and we're going to reassemble it just like that, then pick it up and put it in and then hook the springs up. That's another way you can do that. Side to side's fine. They're all a pain in the butt. Springs want to fight with you. It's never fun. Anyway, let's get right back to it. Give me a second, I'll set you up. All right, guys. Like I said, I wasn't going to bring you back in, and I probably will just put this part in here, but I'm really curious to take a closer look at this when it's off of here. So let's do that and just pop this off, which ought to be real fun being these shoes are all over the dang place. And it looks like we broke or we bent our tie down. This one was really stuck also. It moved easier when we were trying to drive it, but it was definitely not better. By much. Our retainer spring just popped off that side. Come on, off, not on. Nope, don't want you on. I want you off. Wax on, wax off. Okay. Yeah, we were definitely gonna check the a little bent being pulled off of there. So what I was saying is this, pull it off. And that spring is in fact, I don't know if you can see that, both springs are poked into the same damn hole. That just, in the hardware kit, that's why I was bringing you back in. The hardware kit does not have that. What I was looking for is my other tie down that is also bent to you know what. We've rescued those once already, so we can rescue those again, I hope. That's much better than having it splooging all over me hot oil. Well, wow. There was no chance we were getting those brakes working with that hose. That thing is completely closed inside. It's like got a pin tip of a hole. All right, let's go back to flame. Fire! And again, we're trying to get the nut hot, not the line. Kind of get the line hot anyway, but prefer the nut to be glowing red, not the line. And don't turn it if the line's glowing red, because that'll be all bad. Stuff is slightly flammable. cut it. You see that? We cut it here and it blew that piece of line out of it. You probably seen that better than I did. Where'd that thing go? It's probably back into the nether regions. Good to go. Okay, let's get this all cleaned off. Don't want old nasty grease on it. Put new grease on it. Boy, that got the you know what beat out of it at one time. Looks like somebody took a ball-peen hammer all the way over that thing. Yeah, this thing had a bearing cut loose at some point in its life and just hammered it so the hub was out here rolling around. Imagine getting a new one of these wouldn't be easy. It's not in bad shape here and there. You can see where it spun the bearing on there also. I'm going to be feeling that to see if it's real sloppy when I put the hub back on it. All right, let's clean up the backing plate a little bit. All right, I've seen this on a bunch of people I watch. Some of the channels ask, what is this all about? So you can see, well, you could see, there's white grease over here. So they put some there, which you don't need any here. Well, I don't know why they did that. But there's a little bit of remnants there. So you put a little smear of grease, and I mean little, on all these friction points. Keeps the shoe sliding in and out on its steel part, not on the brake shoe itself. You don't want to put enough in there that you're going to make everything get greasy. Grease and brakes don't get along, so be gentle with it. But that is actually what they taught us in college. It is what the manufacturer does. And that's all it takes, just a little smear. You don't want excess everywhere. Also don't need flies bugging you. That's a little too little. And if you feel big ridge on there, you might want to get a, flap attack and just smooth it slightly, because those ridges, if it builds a ridge there, that's why you're greasing it, so it won't. It will catch the shoe and it'll hang. So it can hang engaged or disengaged. Neither one of those are good. Usually it'll hang engaged and drag it. It's stuck on the wrong side of the ridge and not want to return. Told my brother, get me some grease rags. So we're going to see if Bounty is a real quicker picker-upper. Yeah, we're going to abuse the Bounty. Don't care, they work, they're cheap. Get my hands clean. No grease on shoes. Now, this front shoe on this is like very, very much very little shorter than the rear one on this particular thing. The rear one is supposed to be longer. The replacement shoes, on the other hand, are the exact same size, front and rear. And I know through schooling and stuff, they always taught us which way to put those and all that stuff. But I've always wondered, you got contact surface, so why not just make them the same size? Well, evidently they decided to, because as you can see, front and rear are the exact same size. And this is an AC part. Okay. So the other thing I was saying is some people will put the spring and stuff together like that and then put it up on here. I've found that so much of a pain in the ass because you got to get these little locks in place and stuff. So it's each to their own. However you want to put those on. That I'll typically do one side, get the clip and the spring on it, and then do the other side. Then they add the adjuster and fight with the adjuster spring, which in this one is a beast, but it went on pretty good, or it will go on pretty good. This spring that I was mentioning, that is in this side and not the other side, and does not have a replacement in the auto part catalog, and I cannot find it in any of the dang manuals online. So we're just going to leave it off like the other side. And if I discover for some reason, well, there's nothing I can do about the other side because I can't get that spring. It doesn't exist in a parts magazine anywhere, or that's why it doesn't come in the kit is what I'm saying. So what am I missing? No, I'm not missing much. Give me a second. I'm going to go clean these up a bit and I'll be right back to you. Okay, I'm back, and I misphrased what I was doing. Incorrectly said it. There's that English problem. I was actually not cleaning, straightening, because when I used the claw, it made this thing a little bit bent, and both the little tabs were a little bit bent. I just went and straightened them out, and then I've got ants eating me. Then we're going to put them back in. Put this puppy together. One thing about working in the woods, you get all the critters, all of them. Mosquitoes and ants and whatever else thinks you're tasty. Those are the two worst, I think. Hornets, wasps. All right, let's take our little springs. Oh yeah, when I got it home and I know that dang thing is sitting around, I have a tool that's made to press the little spring and the cap onto the hold down, and I can't find it. And I just saw it, so I know it's somewhere close, somewhere right in front of me undoubtedly. What I'm talking about is the tool that it's basically a screwdriver thing. You push on this and turn it. It makes this super easy. There is one other trick to that makes it fairly easy. You don't want to fight with a spring. You can put this over in the groove. Sometimes you can get it to do it that way and then pop it back up into where it belongs. See if that works. And you have no spring tension on it at all because it's shorter, longer. I'm trying to say what I'm thinking. It's really long because it's down in that groove. Dang, vermin, weeds, and get at my stuff. So what I'm trying to say is I can put this on very easily with my fingertips by cheating like that. That's what I'm trying to say. Kind of like that. Then you can argue with the spring and stuff and get it back up out of the groove, which isn't all that hard to do. The spring wants to pull it right over there. Let me take that little tab that I just was telling you about, this one. Put it in there, grab the new spring, grab the proper tool. Some people love these things, some people hate them. I've done it with a plier so many times that I really love them because it is a lot easier than the pliers most of the time. Until you try to show an audience, and then it's going to fight with me and make me look like a you know what. I try to keep my fingers out of all that BS. Yeah, you can just over direct it. I just walk it on with, keep the spring pressure off by keeping the distance closer, right? And hopefully this doesn't happen 10 times before I actually get it on there. Just once like so. All right, let's do the other side, just like that. Man, I'll tell you what, used to be you got a lot of these in when I was a kid. I did these all the time. By the time I got to college, of course, everybody was disc brake. It seemed like everything we owned when I was a kid had drum brakes on it. That's what I was working on. 'Cause that's what we had. And yes, I like disc brakes better, a lot better. They work better in water. These things get wet and it's like, woohoo! We're going for a ride, whether we want it or not. You there, you in the groove down there. So again, I just put it in the groove. Line it up, make sure the little tab that's supposed to be going into there, and I'm getting ate by a freaking mosquito, literally right as we speak. Oh, bastard. Okay, now that I've been distracted by flying pieces of you know what, that there, rotate it into lock. Get it on its way to the right direction. Give me a spring. Make sure the shoe is doing what it's supposed to, and it's not at the moment. That's what it's supposed to. Yeah, you can pry this and flip, and half the time you'll get it on there. I just try to increase my odds, and yeah, it still pops off. It doesn't go in the right place. It makes me look like a fool. But not this time. I like winning. Yeah, okay, that doesn't happen all the time, but yeah, you get the point. Now we're back up in the groove, out of the groove. Our contact points are where they belong. Now we can get to this spring, and yeah, we did replace, as you just seen, I just put new springs on there. It does not come with the bottom spring, but boy, that was leaking some grease. That thing was leaking grease all the way down into the bottom. And this is basically the reverse of the technique people do to put this together, pull it back on and flip it back onto there. I've done that before. It's a real pain in the butt because you're trying to keep one side from going up and doing those at the same time. Yeah, no thank you. Boy, we destroyed. We actually bent the shoe. That thing was latched on there, and this was the moving side. The other one was the one that, well, I say moving, not so much. When we got it up off the ground, I could not turn it. So it wasn't really the moving side. That is disgusting. That's what that is. Okay. Let's do a little bit of grease be gone. This stuff actually works a lot better than the one I was complaining about when we were doing the El Camino. That stuff wouldn't cut motor oil. I was irritated with that. Put a whole can on my firewall and it wouldn't get the oil off of it that was sprayed there from my broken line. All right, that's good enough to go. Let's see if let's not lose the tip. Let's clean this up a bit. Remember, it has to be lined up with a hole. I have so many times got into brake jobs and you want to back the shoes off on worn brakes so you can get them past the ridge that they always create in the drum, and then the thing is on the other side, and they always said my brakes never work good, and I'm like, yeah, it's because they weren't adjusted. And somebody put your adjuster in there backward. First we find our tube of grease. This has a little bit of lithium grease in there. I can see it's all white. I'm going to put a little, well, it's kind of dry. So do not put the grease on here. Put a dab on here. If you put it here, it's going to push it all the way back to here. If you put a little bit in here, it shoves it down into the threads and stays there. You don't, then it flings it all around in here. So don't do that. And this applies to other places, like houses, pipelines. Don't ever put it on the outside one. Oh yeah, and if you're using pipe to open a house, careful on the inside one, it'll end up in your faucet, your thing won't work. I had one of my carpenters do that. He's like, that's a $600 faucet, don't do that. So in this case, yes, on the inside. House faucet, not so much. Okay. Now this is going to work real easy for us because it just wants to. Yeah, right. Same thing here. This thing needs to be able to turn here, and that is real dry. Should have did that while I had it out. Just a dab will do her. And this is marine grease. If you got a four-wheel drive, use marine grease. As this thing gets underwater and you get a little, you put it underwater, the grease goes to poo unless it's marine grease, and it just doesn't care. Also make sure your vent tubes are clear so it doesn't blow out all your differential seals. That's all bad too. Probably one of the number one causes of differential seals going out. Not number one, but it's up there. Definitely up there. All right, let's do the not so fun part. And we're going to do it via vice grip. And which way do we want to do this? We want to do it this way. This is my trade-off for doing it this way. Easier way for me. Or we haven't got down yet. Well, give me a minute, then I'll tell you if it's easier way. Typically, it's easier way for me. This spring setup is kind of old-fashioned. Now, if I place the pliers right. Yeah. Okay. Get on your knees and pull it. You need some leverage, no twisting rotation. That ain't helpful. Come on here, almost there. Get off that keyway. That wasn't bad. Okay, we clean the hands. Now I'm going to show you one other trick. Now, when I work in a shop, and I had one of these, there's an inside brake drum, outside brake shoe, inside brake drum measuring tool. I think I got that out right. But basically, it measures from the outside of your brake shoe to your outside of your brake shoe, and then it compares that to the inside of your drum diameter. You can do that with a tape measure. You can just tape measure it across there, tape measure it across your brake drum, get it close here, and then when you adjust it down, and we'll go through that, when you adjust it, you just want a slight drag on it, not a big drag. Just, you'll hear it kind of touch, 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 and you're good. Don't go any more than that. You want them equal side to side so they don't go that way or that way. It's another reason I like disc brakes. Alrighty. So we've got a hub dilemma at the moment. And the hub dilemma goes a little like this. Got a new brake drum. It's right over there underneath you. Actually, the old one is. My brother's press is kaput, and I need to get the hub out of the old brake drum and put the new one on. He's dealing with that, I think, at the moment. We're going to go to the other side with the turned hub and assemble it over there so we have that side done, and then we'll deal with figuring out how to get those out. And yeah, some people can beat on those with a lug nut, except these are this style, and they're rusted in there bad. It's definitely a press job. I may end up having to take it back to my house and use my press if his press can't be made to work. Give me a minute, we'll get you set up over there. All right, guys, we're back. It's the next day again. I had to go get bearings and races. When we looked at the bearings, they didn't look too bad, and then I cleaned them up with gasoline. And then I cleaned the race off, and there is pitting in the race, and there's a ridge all the way around it. So I went ahead and got bearings and races, which is, again, 20 miles back and forth to town, and I had to get them overnight. So I'm going to go ahead and put bearings and races in this. This is going to be really old school. We're in the shop. We have nice little drivers. This is, we're out in the field, and we need to put a bearing and race in that thing old school. So we're going to do just that. I will speed up parts of this so you don't get too much torture from the banging. But we'll take these outer one out, inner one out first. One race. See if I don't know if you're going to be able to tell that on the. Yeah, you may not be able to tell. Let me pull up close on you and see. Oh, maybe not. There's a ridge there. Not where I hit it with the chisel or the driver. You can see there's a little ridge if it focuses. It's borderline. I mean, I can't put it in there with a ridge or that, or new bearings. We're just not going to do that. So let's do the other one, which is way up there, very visible. It's worn. It's got a little lip I can feel on it. You're definitely not going to be able to see that, but it is bad enough I ain't putting it back in. Like I said, we're doing this to bring it to driving level quality, like you can get in it and drive down the road. We don't want to be worried about wheel bearings or anything else we go through. We're going to be done. When we're done, the systems we touched are finished. So, let's hope. The bearing back in the box, we do not want it contaminated. But they are the right ones. And they are exactly the right ones. That is awesome. So we're going to go with the hard side first. I know I'm going to get some feedback on this one. You're going to like this. Maybe not. I've done it thousands of times, so we're going to take the old race. We were going to put it in the way it goes in right on top of that and use it for the driver, so we're not injuring that because we don't have a driver. So, and that way after I'm done, I still have this lip that I can put my drift on and pop it out. And it only goes in a little bit, so it'll pop right out. I've done this a lot in the field. This is not what I would prefer to do at the shop. First of all, let's do the little tap tap and get the first one started just slightly. You'll hear it go thunk when you get it there. Like that. That's the sound down. Usually these little buggers will stick a little bit and you have to pop them out from the other side. And this just protects you from whacking that if you're careful. That is finished. That is finished. We're down. All right, what I'm going to do, guys, is get you guys set up over there. You don't need to see me do this twice. So we're just going to show you this one. We're going to assemble that hub, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the other one so you don't have to watch me grease things and beat races in twice. So give me a minute, and I'll get you set up over there. Oh, yeah, before we go getting you set up, the third brake hose that we've been looking for, nobody shows us. I said we need to get a hold of Wild Horse. Well, we did get a hold of Wild Horse, and they do have one in their next 2-day it. So hopefully we can get that back here and get a drive out of this thing immediately. But it is on its way. We ordered it this morning, which is a good thing. All right, let me get you set up. We'll put the hub assembly together, get the brakes adjusted on that side. 1 minute. All right, guys, we are set up over here. I need to put some grease on the other side of this hub in the well, if you will, which I'll do right now. Actually, it's pretty in the weld there, but we're going to put a little bit more down in there and I'll cross the race.
Living
right, guys, I had to take an intermission. The axle was actually stuck in. I couldn't get it out. I couldn't rotate it. Now it rotates and it does all its good things. At least I think it rotates. It should rotate. Yeah, it's doing all the things it's supposed to do now. It was back that way about an inch, which was stopping me from doing anything. So let's do this again. All right. That drum is going to be really, really, really loose on there to start with. What I was saying, like, I can show you on the rear, you can measure across. It's an 11-inch drum. Get this near 11 inches, which we can't really do because we can't get through the center of this where the axle, you could get by it. So let's just feel and see where it's at. Right directly after I get some more grease off my hands. Oh, the spring on that side that goes from side to side doesn't belong there. I've looked at a Chelton's manual. I've looked online. This is actually the same setup as a 66 Falcon or Mustang. Any of those old ones, they did the exact same thing too. It's crazy too, by the way. Big, small, or in between, they were good to go. No grease on the drum. Get on there. I like that. That's good. One down. Cannot be losing this Allen wrench. All right, guys, I'm going to go over the other side, get you set up. I'm going to do all the bearing packing, race changing, and all that stuff off camera because you already see me do this. I'm sure you don't want to see that twice. But, and I'll get it set up over there, and I'll bring you back in for the final, especially if I find anything wrong. Oh, we've already took it apart. All right, let me get you set up over there. All right, guys, as I told you earlier, we already pulled the drum off this off camera, and I need to pull it. And I also told you that the thing has a bad axle seal. So let's take a look and see what we got ourselves into and see if we can get that cured. Well, we can. As you can see, there is a major amount of grease all over everything. That is just really nasty. You see how well you can see that? All right, guys, I figured I'd bring you in for a lot closer look so you have an idea of the mess we've got going on here. That is a lot of gear oil over a long time being pumped in there through the axle seal. And I'm just hoping that the axle bearing, there's way too much up and down play. That axle bearing is garbage. Okay, well, we're going to be replacing the bearing. Good thing I got one. Let me put you back up there and let's get this off. Oh, that's basically just getting the all the brake hardware off, and then there'll be some bolts behind there I'll show you. That is particularly nasty. Axle grease, nasty. So we have to replace the center line, which I have for the front, or for the back, excuse me. I do not have the one for the front. It's on order. We had to order from Wild Horses. Everybody else said it doesn't exist or didn't list it or was way too, yeah. So we're gonna get a new one of those. The brakes on this on the back, I'm not gonna run you guys through that again. There's no need. I will run you through the axle replacement or bearing replacement and getting that back in. But you've already seen me do the exact same brake setup on the front. So no sense in making you do that again. Yeah, that's got a mile up and down play. That axle bearing is destroyed. Like I said, usually when the seals are out this bad, the axle bearing is gone. So we'll be able to impact those off, hopefully, after we get enough grease off of them that I can even tell what size they are. So it looks like they're 9/16 or ½ inch, but I can't tell through grease. Good Lord, that is a lot of grease. These up on top of the spring because we are going to need them. Those weren't actually leaking. Let me get a something. Yay! We aren't even going to have to use a slide hammer. That makes me happy. Ooh, wasted. What the heck? All right, what I was looking at is, where the heck is the seal? Literally. I was thinking maybe it's right here, but it ain't. There ain't nothing there but the tubing housing and where the bearing slides into it. The spacer's right there. typically there would be a seal, and I'm going to have to go look at that. There should be a seal right between here and there, unless that's so gone that I can't even tell it's a seal, which it could be. But I do have the right bearing. Yeah, that one is shot. Let's take a closer look at here. Let's take a real close look. Guys, there is no seal in here. There is no nothing there. That is, I mean, the bearing ride's right there. There is nothing. There is axle tube, housing, backing plate, end of story. There's no seal on there. And they take a seal. So I'm going to go make some, I'm going to go look some information up and find out why there wouldn't be. Because they, well, I know there is because I have both sizes that go in there. Also going to take a light and get really close and see if there's part of a ring left in there. And that's, it used typically, well, not on all of them. Most of the time they're on the other side of the axle, but in this case, no, it isn't on the other side of the axle because the plate hits here, the spacer hits, that spacer hits the center. So that seal would go around that. All right, let me take a quick look, and I will get right back to you. All right, guys, we're back the next day. We were arguing with where the seal is, and I know some of you out there are going to be going, "It's in the tube," because that's one of the places they put it. So after scraping and cleaning and spraying some more brake cleaner in there, I discovered it's in the tube, which required me to go get my slide hammer. So I've got a slide hammer here. We're going to pull that out. And I need to give you guys some information I've discovered. So the Bronco, I'll turn so you can see it. This, I've done lots of research on it. So it comes with a 289. It was ordered with a 289. It's a Dana 30 front end. It's a Dana 20 transfer case and obviously a 9-inch rear end. The 3-speed was optional on the floor. And this one is on the floor. They were mostly on the tray. So one of the questions I want to ask you, and please do comment, is that the stock style shifter that came in these Broncos? Because I cannot find a picture of one. Anyway, give me a comment on that. The other thing is we are going to take this truck to the Willits Car Show in Willits, California on the 24th. So not this weekend, the following weekend, we will be at the car show with it. And hopefully we won't be driving it there, but we will be in driving condition and be able to get it there, that onto the trailer, off the trailer, etc. So anyway, let me flip you around and we'll get that seal out of there and get this thing a little closer to its driving. All right, let's see if we can get this nasty. Very nasty. Hooked with this and slide it out of there. Okay, there's the finger I need, hopefully. These things come out fairly easily. I'm going to say that and then it's going to be a real you know what. But trying to get one out without one of these, it can be done. I've drilled holes in them, run a screw in it, used a claw hanger on a 3-inch and then ratchet it up, pull it out that way. You can fight with them. I wasn't really into doing any of that. Now we yay! One seal. Yeah, miserable little bastard. God, that's disgusting. All right, let's put another seal in it. We do have a bearing dilemma. I'm going to show you the bearing dilemma we've got right now. Give me a second, I'm going to take you down from there. All right, here's a problem we have at the moment. If you see the bearing on the right, which is supposed to be the one that supposedly fits this, it does not. I pressed that one off this morning and we are 2 days out. So we will not be getting that axle bearing back anytime soon, well, in 2 days. So let me put you back on the tripod and let's get back to this. All right, guys, we're going to end this one here. We're missing parts, as I just showed you. Axle bearing's wrong. It's a couple days out. So are most of the other parts. I need rear brake drums. Need the soft line for the center. We have fought with the brake system on the front end of this thing and the rear all the way through this. Every single part wants to fight with me. But we have been winning, and we've been winning big because everything we've done is right. And what I'd like to ask you guys now is like, comment, and subscribe. And somebody asked me this, so I'm going to tell you, subscribe does not cost you anything. It just helps me. And I appreciate every one of you for watching these videos. And I will see you here next time.